How deep is your love? Is your love? How deep is
You danced to their grooves under the neon lights, but behind those falsettos hid fatal tragedies, fractured egos, and studio accidents that changed music forever.
Feel the city breaking and everybody shaking and we're staying alive, staying alive.
Today, you're going to discover the dark truth behind the absolute masters of the dance floor. Number 15. I Started a Joke. One of the most somber melodies of the decade was born from a feeling of total isolation.
I started a joke.
While the world consumed cheerful pop, Robin Gibb wrote this dark puzzle about a man trapped in a personal tragedy that no one around him could understand. The recording captured the ghostly echo of a voice drowned out by the genuine despair of being misunderstood. The depth of that sadness paralyzed audiences. It instantly crowned itself as the definitive anthem for melancholy Sundays on every radio station across Latin America. The vocals never sounded so haunting. It's about discovering that your own life is a tragic joke. You can look up the lyrics on Google, but that gothic darkness had already pierced your soul. A profound sadness that would soon catch the attention of the absolute king of rock. Number 14. Words. A simple piano melody on an ordinary afternoon turned into a white-collar heist.
An everlasting smile, a smile can...
The lyrics were so achingly powerful that they caught the attention of the industry's biggest legends. Elvis Presley himself was hypnotized when he heard it, and he decided to steal it immediately to sing it at his lavish Las Vegas concerts. The artistic hijacking was a smashing triumph. It proved that the band had mastered heartbreak long before putting on the white suits of disco music. It's a desperate plea for words to have meaning again after a fight. Look it up on Google, but you knew damn well that they knew exactly how to pierce your heart.
It's only words.
A songwriting talent capable of taking over places they had never even stepped foot in. Number 13. Massachusetts.
I'm going back to Massachusetts.
The definitive anthem of an American city was written by Brits who didn't even know its streets. They were looking to launch a direct challenge to the commercial monopoly of the Beatles, sailing on a boat on the other side of the world. Having never stepped foot on that soil, they imagined the perfect nostalgia of going home, manufacturing an artificial geographic feeling to outdo their rivals. The precision of the lie was overwhelming. The melody smashed the charts in the United Kingdom and gave them their first massive international hit.
Speak about the people life.
It's about the painful longing to return to a lost home. Look for the lyrics on Google, but that accidental nostalgia made you miss a place you'd never even been to.
Is one place I have seen.
That same fierce competition almost destroyed the band from the inside out. Number 12. Lonely Days. By 1970, the band was dead, torn apart by an unbearable war of egos.
Good morning, misters.
They hadn't spoken a word to each other in over a year. On the edge of professional ruin, they decided to lock themselves in a room to try and save what little was left. The miracle happened all at once. They channeled all their pent-up fury and wrote this colossal anthem in a mere 10 minutes. The express resurrection shook the industry. The sonic roller coaster let the whole world know that the brothers had just returned straight from the grave. It talks about the suffocating desolation of having no one to lean on. You can read it on Google, but that musical explosion proved that, together, they were completely invincible. However, sometimes coming back to life crashes head-on with real death. Number 11. To love somebody.
Certain kind of life.
This emotional tearjerker was composed as a custom-made gift for the greatest giant of soul. Everything was set for Otis Redding to sing it, but tragedy struck without mercy. The artist passed away in a brutal plane crash right before stepping into the studio. Left holding a funeral gift in their hands, the brothers had to swallow their pain and record it themselves. The broken promise transformed into an immortal tribute. Genuine grief drove the track, turning it into a massive classic, covered by dozens of artists all over the planet.
Can't you see what I am? I live and I breathe for you.
It's the declaration of a blind love that will never be returned in the same way. Look up the lyrics on Google, but that tragic devotion tore you apart inside. A pain they would soon have to apply to the ruins of their own family. Number 10. How can you mend a broken heart? The most honest ballad of their career sprouted while the wounds of their near-permanent breakup were still bleeding.
Think of younger days when living for.
Barry and Robin sat face to face and channeled all their resentment and brotherly pain into a single session. They needed to rebuild the foundation of the band, turning the recording into a shock therapy session filled with tears and an absolutely uncomfortable vulnerability.
I could never see tomorrow.
The shot of honesty was lethal. The desperate plea conquered the American market, handing them the very first absolute #1 of their history to save the brand. It's about the physical impossibility of repairing a soul that's been shattered into pieces. Look it up on Google, but you already knew that level of defeat perfectly well.
Please help me mend my bro.
Once the damage was repaired, a simple studio mistake changed music forever. Number 9. Nights on Broadway. The sound that defined an entire decade was born out of sheer desperation and a sarcastic joke.
Standing in the dark, where your eyes.
They were stuck trying to find an epic ending. The producer asked for someone to scream as loudly as possible into the microphone, just to fill the space. Barry let out a piercingly high shriek, almost complaining, accidentally discovering an impossible vocal tone. The improvised scream detonated a sonic revolution. That high-pitched voice invented the legendary falsetto that would dominate the group and shoot them straight back to the commercial summit. It talks about chasing a lost love through the cold city lights. Look up the lyrics on Google, but that studio mistake falsetto had already hypnotized you. That new sound desperately needed an urgent groove to rescue them from absolute bankruptcy. Number 8. Jive Talkin'. By the mid-70s, the industry had left them for dead, and the disdain toward them was total. Crossing a bridge in Miami, the repetitive sound of the car tires against the asphalt gave them the exact rhythm. They transformed that urban noise into pure funk. Tired of the racial and industry prejudice against them, they sent the tape to radio stations, completely hiding their identity. The anonymity shattered the barriers. When the DJs discovered that the blackest, most danceable groove of the year belonged to the washed-up Brits, the whole world went into shock. It's a direct complaint against people spreading rumors behind your back. Look it up on Google, but that asphalt had already forced you to move your feet without thinking. And from that asphalt, they demanded control over the most famous movie on the planet. Number 7. Night Fever. A studio whim baptized the biggest movie in history, following a brutal commercial demand. John Travolta's film was simply going to be called Saturday Fever, but when they handed this track over to the director, they demanded he alter the title of the entire motion picture to include the word night. The studio reluctantly had to accept such extortion from untouchable rock stars. The artistic arrogance turned out to be a masterstroke. The whim dominated movie theaters and morphed into a global monster that ruled the world for uninterrupted months. It chronicles the uncontrollable addiction of catching the energy that burns in the early morning hours. Look for the lyrics on Google, but that night fever was boiling straight in your blood. A musical monopoly that led them to ruthlessly compete against themselves in the record stores. Number 6. More Than a Woman. The most seductive anthem of the dance floors hides a betrayal and a declared war right within the very same album. The brothers had gifted the masterpiece to the group Tavares. However, at the last minute, greed took over. They decided to sneakily record and release their own version to include it on the movie's official soundtrack, sabotaging their colleagues in an unprecedented duel to the death. The battle of egos worked flawlessly. Both tracks shattered radio airplay records, competing fiercely and completely taking over the billboard without letting anyone else breathe. It's the absolute devotion of discovering that this person is the center of your universe. Look it up on Google, but you had already surrendered under the disco ball. Such an ease for creating gold was sometimes born during days of pure and simple routine. Number 5. Too Much Heaven. The majestic ballad that paralyzed the world was knocked out in a single afternoon of routine work. To understand their sick level of genius, they composed this masterpiece the exact same day they put together their massive anthem, Tragedy. Then, in an act of pure, kind-hearted arrogance, they signed the papers to donate every single penny of the track's royalties straight to UNICEF without blinking an eye. Charitable detachment raised over $7 million for children. The world desperately bought the single, turning it into an absolute triumph of international prestige. It's about a love so overwhelming, it doesn't seem to fit on this earthly plane. Look up the lyrics on Google, but that melodic beauty had already disarmed your body. A peaceful heaven that clashed violently with the noise of their other afternoon creation. Number 4. Tragedy. The most dramatic jewel of the disco era hides a technical trick that fooled every sound engineer. Everything about the track is excessive, but the biggest secret is that the massive explosion sound in the chorus that makes your chest vibrate isn't an expensive Hollywood synthesizer. It's simply Barry Gibb cupping his hands in front of the microphone and making the sound of a bomb with his mouth. The spit bomb crushed the big productions. The cheap noise worked so flawlessly that it fooled audiences and blew out international speakers. It tells of the desperation and suffocating emptiness of losing the one who gave meaning to your life. Read the lyrics on Google, but that auditory tragedy had already shaken you to the core. But when they wanted to ignite the dance floor without mercy, they aimed straight for the jugular of the rhythm. Number 3. You should be dancing. If the Miami asphalt opened the door for them, this rhythmic beast kicked it right down. They ruthlessly cranked up the speed of the bass and fine-tuned the falsettos to the absolute limit of what's human. They created a monster so violent and catchy that John Travolta himself halted the filming of his movie to demand it be the main track for his most important choreography. The imposition on the cinema was a lethal strike. It officially crowned the band as the absolute lords and masters of every nightclub on earth. It's a military order to leave your shyness behind and surrender to the mind control of the dance. Look it up on Google, but your legs had already obeyed the violent mandate of the bass line. And when the club lights went out, the real magic happened in the shadows. Number 2. How deep is your love? The most famous melancholic whisper of the decade was conceived during a freezing early morning in a medieval fortress.
Know your eyes in the morning sun.
Locked away in a dark, icy 10th century castle in France, they built this acoustic miracle between midnight and 4 in the morning. Surrounded by shadows, they constructed what they themselves would consider years later as the most mathematically perfect melody they would ever manage to write.
How deep is your love? Is your love? How deep is...
The technical perfection made the industry fall completely in love. It became the undisputed standard and the absolute closing rule for any wedding or celebration worldwide.
I really mean to learn, 'cause we're...
It demands to know if the other person's feelings are real or just an illusion that can be broken. You can look up the lyrics on Google, but that level of intimacy already had you on your knees.
We belong to you and me.
However, the true pulse of the era beat violently in the trash of the street. Number 1. Staying Alive. The untouchable anthem of music history wasn't trying to make you smile. It wanted to portray the panic of starving to death. The brothers refused to record Empty Pot. They wrote this to reflect the brutality of walking the dangerous streets of New York, just trying not to get torn apart. They created a bass line so precise that today the medical community uses it as the perfect rhythmic measure for performing CPR.
Feel the city breaking and everybody shaking and we're staying alive, staying alive.
The street protest mutated into the official attitude of an entire decade, condensed onto vinyl. It bulldozed the whole system, becoming the rhythmic fingerprint of the century.
No time to talk. Music loud, when it won't be kicked around.
It's about clinging to life tooth and nail when society tramples on you daily. You can find the lyrics on Google, but that bass line is already the heartbeat of your own chest.
Somebody help me. Somebody help me.
Survival never had such a lethal groove.